Well, let's take a look at today's notes. We're going to talk about triangle theorems. We've actually done these notes. I think we did them this year, earlier on in the year. I'm talking about three different types of theorems. We have the triangle inequality theorem, which essentially states whether or not three side lengths can be part of a triangle. So whether or not it would make up a triangle. So if you remember when we did the straws activity, we took out that little straws. That's this one. Pythagorean theorem you obviously know. And classifying triangles, the converse of Pythagorean theorem we'll talk about. That's basically saying whether it's acute, obtuse, or right. All right, so let's take a look. Triangle inequality theorem states that if, let me see if I can write this out for you actually. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to type it in. So we're going to say that if A and B, we'll say A, B, and C. No, we'll just go back. If A and B are the short legs of a triangle. Ooh, that's not how you spell triangle. That's all right. Then A plus B has to be, let's see if I can find one here. Yep. Greater than C. Okay, so if A and B are the short legs of a triangle, then A plus B has to be greater than C for A, B, and C to be legs of a triangle. So essentially what we're saying is that if they give you three side lengths and this does not happen, like if A plus B, if you take the two smallest sides and they do not add up to be bigger than C, then it can't be a triangle. It would not fit. If you remember the straws, we had some particular instances where we did that and the straws would not fit together correctly, right? So let's take a look at some of the examples here. So we want to take the two shortest sides, so we have 7 and 3. We're going to add those together, 3 plus 7, and they have to be bigger than the third side. Okay, in this case, you have 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 is definitely not bigger than 11, so therefore this is not a triangle. It can't be a triangle. There's no triangles that have those side lengths. Okay? It's not possible. Trust me on this. I'm a mathematician. All right, number 2. Again, take the two smallest sides. You got 7 plus 8 is bigger than 11. 15 is definitely bigger than 11. So yes, this is a triangle. Okay, moving on. Pythagorean theorem. Well, I'm going to write this one out. I think it's just going to be easier for me. So Pythagorean theorem, you obviously know it as a squared plus, actually let's do little a here. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? So it's equal to c squared, where a and b are the legs of a right triangle. Remember, a right triangle has a 90-degree angle. And C is the hypotenuse. We still seem to struggle labeling which ones those are. Like when we're doing Pythag, I see a lot of people mixing up these two for some reason when they're plugging numbers in. So that's why I went ahead and did this over here. This is very important. Okay, so A and B are the legs. C is always the hypotenuse. Remember that you can find the hypotenuse because it is across from the 90-degree angle. In fact, the 90-degree angle points at it. So if we're looking at number 1, it says find the missing sides. So you notice that this is the right angle. Okay, it points across, so that means x is our hypotenuse. So this is 5 squared plus x squared. I'm sorry, 5 squared plus 13 squared equals x squared, right? 5 squared is 25. 13 squared is 169. Okay, combine those and you get 174, 194. So take the square root of that. Square root of 194 is, let's take a look in the calculator here. Actually, if we use Desmos, might be a little bit quicker. Let's see. Okay, so square root of 194. Did I do something wrong here? Let's check my math. 5 squared plus 13 squared. Why am I second guessing myself here? No, 194. Okay, so it's about 13.93 it looks like. So x is about 13.9 yards squared. Just yards, because it's just a side. Okay, number two. Number two, again, the hypotenuse is directly across from the right angle. So x squared plus 5 squared equals 6 squared. So we have x squared plus 25 equals 36. Subtract 25 from both sides, right, so that we can get x squared by itself. X squared equals 11. Take the square root. X is the square root of 11, or square root of 11 is 3.32. And that is kilometers. Okay, there you go. Okay, next one, classifying triangles with converse of Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so Pythagorean theorem, remember, is that a squared plus b squared, like we just talked about, equals c squared, right? And we know that's the case when there's a right triangle. So what the converse says is that if, instead of it being equals, if it's a squared plus b squared is greater than c squared, so if the left side is bigger than the right, that is called an acute triangle. Remember, it's a cute little triangle. Okay, and then an obtuse triangle. Ooh, it's not how you spell obtuse at all. Obtuse, right, is a squared plus b squared is less than c squared. Right, so that's the converse. Converse means the opposite. So in a right triangle, you have equals. We know that because that's Pythagorean theorem. But the converse says that if it's greater than, it's acute, and if it's less than, it's obtuse. All right, so let's take a look. So 6 squared plus 6 squared is what to 10 squared? Remember, we did this box before. So 36 plus 36, 10 squared is 100. 72 and 100. 72 is less than, so that means this is less than, which means it is obtuse. Okay. On to number 6. Again, do the two smallest sides on the left. So 8 squared plus 12 squared. Ooh. And 13 squared. 8 squared is 64. 12 squared is 144. 13 squared is 169. 64 and 144, let's see, 148. So 208 is what to 169? It is greater than. So therefore this is acute. This is an acute triangle. Okay, and this one was obtuse. All right, so keeping it simple today. Again, just reviewing those 3 theorems. One is the converse of Pythagorean theorem, one is Pythagorean theorem, and one is the triangle inequality theorem. So triangle inequality is the one that's kind of different because it says that they can be a triangle. Pythagorean theorem says that it's a right triangle, and then converse says that it's either acute or obtuse or right, of course. All right, so your homework's an exit ticket. Make sure to get these notes filled out, submit those, and I will catch you guys.